Order. Questions to the Secretary of State for Culture, Media and Sport. Mr Martin Vickers.
Number 1, Mr Speaker.
Secretary of State, Secretary Karen Bradley.
Thank you very much, Mr Speaker. And could I start by welcoming all members of the front bench opposite. It is good to see a full complement of shadow ministers, and I look forward to working with everyone in the foreseeable future. My side is slightly depleted. My right honourable friend, the Minister for Digital and Culture, currently has Her Majesty visiting his constituency, so he sends his apologies. But, Mr Speaker, the government is taking forward a range of measures to tackle nuisance calls. This includes the recent announcement to consult on making company directors liable for breaches of the direct marketing rules.
Martin Vickers.
I thank my right honourable friend for the update and the moves that the government have made so far. In the last Parliament, I was Vice Chairman of the APPG for nuisance calls, which came forward with a report for many recommendations. Can the Secretary of State outline what other work is being done to implement those recommendations?
Can I thank my honourable friend for his question and also for the work of the all-party group. A number of the recommendations from his group have been taken forward, including the new requirement for all direct marketing callers to provide caller line identification, and of course I've just said our intention to hold company directors to account. But there is more that needs to be done, and I stand fully ready to make sure we do what we need to do to stamp out the dreadful nuisance that is nuisance calls.
Dr Rupa Huq.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. Is the Secretary of State aware of the Fair Telecoms campaign? They argue that the telephone, with its untargeted nature, is completely inappropriate for PPI and accident claims calls. And they suggest that the Secretary of State should press colleagues at the Ministry of Justice to entirely prohibit this. Could she meet with them and my constituent, David Hickson, to sort this out?
I will certainly look carefully at what the Honourable Lady has said, but I do want to assure her that this is a cross-government piece of work. We do need to work together to tackle this, and I fully recognise that nuisance calls really are, the impact that they can have on people can be absolutely devastating.
That's all.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. Nuisance telephone calls are a modern menace, especially for the elderly. Yeah. I'm pleased to hear that the government are taking more action. But can my right honourable friend say what she's be doing to monitor whether the new action is actually being a success?
I thank my honourable friend for his question. I will be looking carefully to see whether the action we've taken so far has the desired effect, and if it does not, I do not rule out taking further steps.
Gibson.
Speaker, may I say that I am delighted the UK Government has announced it will accept the provisions of my 10-minute rule bill in their entirety and hold named directors to account for nuisance calls with effect from spring 2017. Would the Minister agree with me that it is important that we do not rest on our laurels and continue to strive against nuisance calls to protect the vulnerable, all consumers and legitimate and ethical businesses, and keep the House updated with action going forward?
Can I pay tribute to the Honourable Lady for her 10-minute rule bill, which certainly did help to raise awareness of the issue, and I'm pleased that the government is following her recommendations. We do need to make sure that this works. We need to work together that make sure this works, and I'll be very happy to continue and updating the House on this matter.